Good afternoon, good evening, I guess. This is a LTD base I'm going to work on. It's got some wicked high action. Um, the player is just getting back into playing. This is a great looking base for someone who's just starting again. But I'm going to put some lighter strings on it and set it up. I mean, its action is stupid high. I can get my fingers pretty easily under the strings there. So there's going to be some adjustments and whatnot to do on this particular base, and looks like the saddles are all kind of out of whack. Like one's leaning, the other ones are just jacked clear up. So someone probably had a buzzing issue and corrected it incorrectly, I guess. And I'm going to try to fix that. So grab some strings and we'll get to business. So I've decided, based on what they told me, we're going to do like a 45 through 100 light set of these SIT strings, Powerwounds, fairly affordable string, stable, doesn't hold tone the longest. I've heard them, kind of lose some of their nice bell quality pretty quick. But as far as stability and being able to play them over a long period of time, these are going to work pretty well for her. So yeah, 45 through 100, 45, 65, 80, 100, so fairly light. Typically it's 45 to 105 is what I like to use, But this would be the 942 for a bass as opposed to the 1046, guitar style. All right, so first things first, I got to remove all the strings. And I'm just going to, I never like to take tension out all at once. I don't like to just cut strings. And I've talked about this previously in other videos. Why? Because tons of tension on the neck with strings. It can pull a neck one way or the other, and that neck is doing its thing, and you just cut those. It's like a bow, and bows, are now made, their limbs are fiberglass, because it's a material that can take the abuse better than wood. Old wood bows are the way it was done for eons. But I think, especially in the case of an instrument like this with its wood neck, you want to really be careful about how you handle all that tension, because if you're too abrupt in your move, you end up in a bad spot as far as shock to the wood, and then what happens? And you've got problems, that can occur. I think, if it becomes a normal thing with you where you do that to all your guitars or basses or whatnot, it's just going to get you into trouble with neck issues, and it's going to always affect your truss rod. Worse when you do that, So I'm just picky about that. I've mentioned it before, and I figure I'm going to keep mentioning it over and over and over again. So these saddles look high anyway, and they did when I did the initial setup. So I'm just going to, while I'm got everything apart, I'm just going to start kind of lowering them. I'll raise them if necessary, Make sure they're all even too. That's one thing I noticed. One of these saddles was completely the inside half of the saddle was sitting way lower than the outside, and for whatever reason, I don't know. I've got to get in here and see what they did at the factory or wherever they did this, but it's not right. I don't even know if this Allen wrench is the right one, That's why I keep a whole plethora of these things around. Sometimes I've even had guitars come in that I worked on that the Allen screws are upside down in the saddles. How does that happen, And why would you want that? The thing's supposed to be adjustable, You shouldn't have to take the strings off to fix it, It's one of the uncool things about some early Fender necks. They had you had to take the neck off to adjust the truss rod. It makes no sense to me, That's counterproductive in big ways, You want to be able to adjust it while it's under tension so you can set it up properly. This is just so crazy. This will be the first time I've ever dealt with this particular bridge assembly, so see how it works. So right now, hey, why is that off? Guess what? They're missing a whole screw right there. So I'm going to have to look for something to fix that. So I'll be back after I dig through my parts bin, I guess. So after a cursory sweep of my parts bin, I don't see anything that looks like it's going to work right now. I'm going to go ahead and string this up and clean it up and everything. And then when I find the saddle height adjustment screw that I need, I'll go ahead and finish up the process here. You know, that's going to be the last thing, so that it's G-string in this case is going to need that part. And then so I'm going to hold off until then. Okay, so I'll show you again real quick here. I steel wool these frets. I don't know if you can see that, but these are pretty dull up here. I'm going to just start kind of scrubbing on those with this, paying attention to the fretboard too, getting gunk and stuff off, and it polishes these up pretty nicely, makes them look shiny again, makes them slippery for the string to glide over, which I think is important if you're doing bends and stuff. And I'm just going to go down the whole length of the fretboard like that. A little easier to do if I've got it setting down though, because I can get more pressure on it with my downforce here and really dig in as much as I want to on the fretboard and stuff. I just breathed in a bunch of this stuff and it tastes nasty, FYI. Gross. So anyway, yeah, those are shining up real nice, especially these lower frets are just dull and yucky, you know, and Cheetos and whatnot stuck to them. There's a bunch of crap on the fingerboard to come out. Yeah, those are going to look a lot better in a minute. A lot of stuff on the fretboard. And you'll see this in just about any guitar like this. You'll see stuff build up on the fretboard and then on the frets and everything. So about every so often, I'm going to do this to my own guitars too, you know. We got a bigger chunk. There we go. If they're bad enough, you can use a credit card or something like that to kind of clean the board itself. You scrape it without tearing into it, you know. I've done that. It works really well. Like an old card, old debit card, whatever you're not using, some kind of something you can really put some force into it with, you know. This is dirty. All right. I guess while we're here, we'll get dust off the headstock, I guess, you know. It needs it. Very pretty once you take that off there. It looks like a walnut kind of thing, you know. I don't know what wood this particular guitar is, you know. There's tons of different species they use and all that other stuff. And I guess I'll take the truss rod cover off so it's gone and out of my way when it's time to adjust that guy, because based on what I saw going into this, it's going to need it. Crazy out as far as that goes. You know, I've never seen strings that high. I guess I probably have, but not on a bass someone's planning on playing, you know, anytime soon. That screw is just about stripped. I don't know what's going on with this bass, so I don't know the history of it. I don't know anything about it, so this is always fun, you know, get to see something and try to figure out the forensics of the life of the instrument, you know. You can tell what someone did here, etc. My gross oil rag, it's just about shot. Some lemon oil for some good measure here. And we'll go ahead and coat the fretboard, just like I always do. Let it soak in, let it do its job before moving on, you know. This wasn't terribly dry. I mean, it must have been kept in the case or something. I've seen them a lot worse. I've seen them come in, they look almost gray. They're so dry. But this is going to look really sharp, especially with that, the basic natural finish of the guitar is really pretty. I like that look. It's like a pretty coffee table or something, you know. Appreciate the natural beauty of wood. Some of these guitars are just awesome to look at. Some people prefer paint jobs and crazy stuff, but honestly, I like to see the grain and everything too, you know. That's always cool. I really like a lot of these guitars that have been coming out lately with the burl tops and stuff. I really think that is a sweet look. I've seen some incredible things come out of the different manufacturers, you know, as far as Dean had one years ago. I was at a DOA deal, and they had this, it was one of the Deceivers, kind of Les Paul thing, but smaller, you know, very cool. And it had a burl top on it. And in that top, they'd placed some blue stone in a couple of spots, like really pretty. It looked random and natural, and it was just so awesome. I didn't particularly like the way the guitar played, or else I would have probably sold one of my body parts to get it. It was so cool. It just didn't fit my hands right. But I thought, as far as a design, it was absolutely gorgeous and impeccable. And those guys can build a heck of a guitar too. The Dean USA Custom Shop really kills it, as does, you know, a lot of manufacturers do. You know, I've said this before. If you find anyone with the right tooling and know-how, you will get a good instrument. Period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I'm going to do the A and the G string first, just because that sits in there real quick, and I'm going to do my I talked about this, I think, in a previous video. The design of the tuners, the slotted headstock guys, being so handy. I go just, you know, a few inches beyond that, clip the string, and then insert it into the slotted part of the tuner and tune it up. And it's fast. It's almost error-free. It's so simple, you know, the way it works. The only thing you ever run into is sometimes, especially on these basses, the bigger strings, if you don't do it just quite right, the strings will come unraveled, and then it's useless. You know, you've got a string that's no good because it's unraveling at that end, and it's always going to continue to do so until it's done. But that's why I take my time with these bass strings. Do them by hand for the most part. Yeah, I think even with one string on, that action is ridiculous high. And I've lowered the saddle a bit. But I want to see what the truss rod does real quick. So I'm going to take a handy dandy truss rod wrench and dig in there while I got one string on and see if I can, you know, give a little extra to this. I don't know if this has been over loosened or what, but it seems like, jeez, bam, hit the camera. Seems like there's a lot of play there. Okay, so it's kind of buzzing, but I've got one string on, and that's kind of to be expected, you know. There's no tension on the neck with one string. Not like there's really going to be. I mean, you put 4 giant strings on a bass and tune it to pitch, you're going to have a lot of tension on that neck. So I'm going to go ahead and scooch this guy back and get this out of the way so I don't bump the camera again, and then crank this guy up by hand, just like I did previous. One. Yeah, I've used a drill bit string winders and everything, and they are super cool, but unless you can control the speed of your drill really well, I would recommend against it. I've absolutely gone too fast and pop strings, you know. It happens. It's not uncommon, if, you know, especially in that situation. So this string I know is going to lay down because that one saddle adjustment screw is missing. Onto the E and D. This should be the 100 and the 65. Unwrap them and just go to town. So, I like this particular bass. It's got, like, it comes in from the side, the string, and then locks in. It doesn't really lock. It's like there's a mechanism, but it kind of sits in there really tight and it doesn't go anywhere, which, believe me, is real handy. Sometimes it gets old fighting these things, you know, trying to keep things under some kind of pressure so it doesn't come out of there or run away or fall on the floor and get dirty, and, you know, it's no good. I can't have that. So here I go. I'm going to go slow with this guy because I've experienced the most issues with these strings unraveling, any string really, any bass string, with the E string. So I'm going to take as much time as I can to get that guy once around, and once it's once around, it's fairly safe and I can start to let go. Now to the D, same thing. Snip, castrate that string, and move on. I'll also go through and make sure all the nuts are tight and stuff on the headstock here. You know, rattling parts is annoying, especially if you're playing without, you know, an amp, you're not plugged in, you're just practicing. You got a part on your instrument that's like rattling, you know, it'll drive you nuts trying to figure out where it's coming from because it's hard to track down sometimes. The rattle will go across the string and you'll think it's at the saddle and it's actually somewhere else, or vice versa, you know. Not uncommon. So nice and clean look on the headstock. You know, truss rod covers off. I really like the headstock. Moving on. I try to do what I can with tuning it and seeing what the truss rod wants to do as far as some of these clip-on tuners do not like bases. There we go, E, a little sharp. Remember what I said about that, the strings getting laying down on the frets without enough tension on it. It's totally lifting now. Like, it's back up quite a bit. Like, not as bad as it was when I started, but... And really, when you look for truss rod action adjustments, you're not checking the upper part of the fretboard so much as you are that little range between 5 and 9 or 10 and so. That's where the most action of the truss rod takes place. Bass might be a little different because the neck is longer, but I'll notice on most guitars like that range between the maybe even the third to ninth fret, especially even the 12th, is where most of the truss rod adjustment takes place. But I'm going to check this for height. I think I've kind of overcorrected, and I think it's too tight. So I'm going to kind of loosen it back up, let the neck do its thing. I think all the problems here, the action of this bass, are going to be found in the saddles. And like I said, they were ridiculous high for whatever reason. Yeah, that's pretty decent. It's a start, so I've got a little ways to go yet. Taking these down is going to be a little bit time consuming because the adjustment's going to be slow. In fact, I wonder if I can't just back that guy out and be fine with it. If I can actually get that to grab, we'll be in good shape. I don't even know what I did with the wrench I was using a bit ago. This is the one. It's not grabbing in that, probably because it's either upside down or at an angle, and I'm going to have to take everything apart, which is not what I want to do, but I will. And as you lower the saddles, the pitch drops too. That 6-string Ibanez I did the other day, customer picked it up today. I was real happy with the adjustments. So I am pleased that I did the right thing and fixed the bass for him. If I can't get it, I usually get pretty annoyed. I was going to say upset, but I don't know if that's even the word for it. Just, it's obnoxious when something doesn't work, you know. These guys are down there a little ways. Hard to kind of eyeball where they're going to catch. Yeah, taking these down quite a bit. Those saddles were jacked up. I think it was someone didn't know quite how to adjust it and started turning things until they thought they had it and it was off. So that's the forensic part of it. I dropped that A string all the way down to F sharp. So that's quite a fall. You know, you go G sharp, G, then F sharp. Step and a half, you know, off. It's quite a ways. This E string is way high too. So, and they, like I've mentioned before, these saddles need to follow the curve of the fingerboard, ideally. Having a radius gauge or something handy is really good. I've got a few of those. And I'll sometimes check those to make sure I get the right pitch on everything. So, wow, that one went from E to A. How's that? So the last thing to do is once I get this saddle taken care of and figured out why it's not taking my wrench, someone messed with this and it's all effed up. If I find my saddles, I know I've got some just about identical to this that should be a quick fix, you know. Then again, you know, that's kind of my thing. Set it down somewhere, lose track of it. It happens. I'm not gonna lie. I am a hoarder. And being a hoarder means I cannot find what I need when I need it. Give these guys a stretch like I always do. Bass strings are fairly stable. They don't move as much as guitar strings when you do this. That one moved a lot. I guess I got a little rough there. F-4E. I can't remember what the F stands for, what the initial, that body style, when they came out, what did they call that? Someone can comment below and tell me. I can't remember. I did like when the guitars came out, I thought it was a wicked cool body style, but I can't remember what, if F stood for anything, because H would be horizon, you know, M would be, I can't remember what M would be. There's always been M with them, but they had the horizon early on, and the Mirage would be the M. So if someone knows what that is, they feel free to drop a comment, because I can't remember for the life of me right now what that designation would be for that F. So it needs to stand for something, right? I mean, it should. While I'm here with these other strings, that G string being the exception, I'm going to quickly check the intonation there. Yeah, those are all good. So I think we're back to like almost like factory height as far as the settings there. Yeah, really, I'm just kind of stuck on that G string until I find a saddle height adjustment screw that's going to work. I'll need to pull the other one out anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this string out, flip that saddle over, take a look at what's going on, and see if we can figure out why we've got nasty stupidity in the saddle here, because it's not doing its thing. It's not taking my adjustment wrench or anything. My guess is that it's just this, it's upside down. So I guess the only thing to do now is take it out and just kind of redo everything, because that's not going to work if that's upside down. And then finding another screw is going to be helpful as well, right? I might actually move this to the inside for now. That's going to make it so I can just quickly change that. I can actually probably get the guitar pretty close to set up if I do it that way too. Because it's going to lean to the outside just a hair, because it's following the pitch of the neck. And if it's a hair off, I'm not going to sweat it, you know. More than that, and I start to get a little anal, but do not lose your springs, because those are, a lot of times you don't have them. Yeah, totally. It was in there upside down, so of course I couldn't adjust it. I knew it. Go figure. I don't know how that happens. Who does that? I've seen it more than once, ironically. More than one time I've had an instrument come in that I've worked on where the saddle height adjustment screw has been flipped over. And I'm just at a loss as to how or why that occurs, you know. Because don't you want to be able to adjust your saddle? I think you would. Because what good is it if you can't? You know, that's the point of them. Not happy with my action. Change this. Got it. Boom, done. Moving on. Just gonna get a little bit of this poking out. I'm not gonna worry about getting too crazy because I still don't have the other adjustment side screw here. There we go. Now to put this back in play. I need my little screwdriver. Would work better. My little modular one. There we go. This guy. Anything that's got Phillips and flathead on it that you can change on the fly is super handy, especially the smaller size. You know, so you run into issues where you need these kinds of things to happen on the fly all the time. Now this might sit too low yet. I just kind of plopped it in there, all in a hurry style. But I'm going to see what happens when I adjust that. Tune it! Tune it! Part of me wonders if this is even, something went down here. Like this doesn't look like it's the original saddle screw or anything. I'm looking at this, I need to adjust it. I don't think it's right. I think this is the wrong saddle adjustment screw. So I barely got that started, and I'm gonna run out of adjustment quick because that screw's gonna be Gandhi. Still hits flat, and I've got to move it forward even more. Crazy. Friends don't let friends work on their guitars. There we go. That's better. It's not 100% perfect, but I don't want to run out of real estate there, you know, and have that thing popping out, you know, at will. I think I can actually... I need a little more height. It's going to buzz, especially on the upper frets. So I definitely need the other saddle screw. But I'm going to go see what that is. The shop is kind of open, so yeah, buzzing there. So I'm going to have to find that other adjustment screw. That's where I was. I did get the action or the truss or the intonation set right. Yeah, I did. It's like watching a movie. No, don't do that. Let's recheck that real quick. Yeah, the only bass stuff I know, like Ram of the Ancient Mariner or something, right? Action's a little high yet, but I think it's a huge improvement over what it was, and it's not fretting out. Some of these on that G string, of course, I've still got issues until I get that set screw done. But that's going to be just a quick, simple thing, and then that'll be ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this guy back in the case and try to finish her up, you know, first thing here Thursday, I guess, and get it back home so someone can enjoy playing bass again, which is always a lot of fun. Steve Harris. Anyway, thanks for watching. You got questions, feel free to message me. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Like and subscribe. Find us online, www.brgmusic.com, or on Reverb. We're all over the place, Facebook, whatever. Not a lot of action there since this whole COVID deal, but I'm just kind of working through random repairs and stuff as I can, taking things in and just making people's stuff work, that while they sit at home they can enjoy it again, you know. So like I said, like and subscribe. You got questions about repairs, whatever, prices, feel free to message me. I am kind of busy as far as that stuff goes, so my time is a little locked up as far as if you want something tomorrow. But by all means, don't worry about it. I'll take care of you as far as that goes, and try to do it properly so you don't have issues down the road, right? We'll stop there for tonight, and I hope you have a good rest of your evening, and I enjoyed this video. Thanks.